Our next experiential letter writing. You come up with a piece of paper. And this is a nice thing to do for closure. In a group, you never get enough time. But you see how we're titrating the model so that you do get enough time. But it's airtime with each other, and often, like a floor check gives you a lot of personal time that if you just share in a large group, you don't get. So spectrograms, locograms, floor checks, and now experiential letter writing give you just a variety of ways to get what you need so that you don't walk out just carrying a bunch of stuff that you thought you could never open up on. So just write a letter to anything that came up for you today or through this social atom, through anything. Write a letter to a part of yourself, to somebody in your life, to your future self, to your inner child, to anything you want to just say to bring some more closure to your time. We'll take about, 5 minutes to write it.
Saddle up, partner.
Your letters too?
I did it to myself.
Oh, great.
Is that okay?
Of course. Do you want to choose someone to play you or use an empty chair?
I'm going to do the empty chair.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure. Okay. I just did a short letter.
Perfect.
I said, Dear Dave, I would encourage you to stop living in the past and start addressing your current problems for a brighter future. Everyone in this room has had their own trials and tribulations and have continued to persevere, so why couldn't you? Trust the process, get back to working the steps, going to meetings, and believing in yourself. You have come this far, so why stop now?
Beautiful. Do you want to reverse roles or is that complete?
All right. Oh, reverse. Help me out real fast.
Dave is,
Yes.
You're Dave, back to yourself.
Back to myself. Dave, continue to hang around people that truly do care about you and do not go off your own ideas because they're normally wrong, and get guidance from the people that you look up to and love. Don't try to figure everything out on your own. Don't make irrational decisions, and continue to help others, but also take care of yourself.
You have the best advice to give yourself.
Yeah.
Right there, reverse roles.
Okay, round 3.
And just end the scene. Say the last things you want to say for now.
The last things I would want to say for now is I'm grateful to be in this room. I've really had a wonderful experience. I want to take a deep inward look at some of the traumas that keep me up at night, so I can have it better tomorrow.
May I add one thing?
Yes.
You gave me terrific advice.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
right. Thank you. You gave me very good advice.
You knew just what to say to me.
Yeah, that's right. You gave good advice. Take it. Don't not take your own advice, because you know what to do, but live it and do it. Make the necessary decisions that are going to benefit you and others as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, one more.
One more.
Okay.
Billy out, if that's okay, unless anybody else wants to go. Anybody?
Don't worry, we've got room.
All right. Here we are. This is a letter to my past self, like ages 22, 23, 24, right before I got sober. I'm sorry that you were so lost. I'm sorry that you felt you needed to hurt yourself. Know that who we are today recognizes that we are worthy of love and good enough. Take your time, you'll figure it out. And thank you for not giving up.
Reverse roles.
Okay. Future self. Thank you for validating my experience and putting words to it. I don't think I realized how lost I was and that I was hurting myself either through other people or substances. And thank you for giving me hope. And I don't know why I didn't give up, but I'm happy to hear that it worked out. Yeah.
Wonderful. Reverse roles.
Okay.
Let's say the last things you want to say for now.
I'm proud of you, kid. I think that's it. And I love you. You're so good looking. No.
So, this is the RTR model. It covers a lot of ground, right? And it takes you in gradually. It warm up, action, sharing. That's how it, and much of trauma work is in the sufficient warm up. So what I've done is create a model that has a lot of warm up, right? A lot of slow warm up. And by connecting with each other and not always hearing my voice in your head as the evaluator, as the interpreter, I feel like I'm, personally as Tian, I feel like I'm giving you the greatest gift I could, which is each other. And like as a parent would, it's reparenting, because if you're a good parent, your whole idea is to connect your children with the world, right? Let them start at your knee and let them keep connecting into the world and help them in little ways. When my son was a year old, our daughter was 4, we lived in London, and they have these wonderful parks, this wonderful park system. And they also let kids just strip down and wear their they look however they want to look. And Alex would go around, he'd look around. First of all, he'd suss out the whole playground from the tiny year-old. And then he'd decide who had the best toy. And he'd walk over towards them. And he would stand and they would look, he'd look at them, they'd look down, he'd look at the toy. He did his own little process through identification. And every 10 minutes or so, he would come back for a classic refueling. And the way he refueled wasn't to climb in my arms or my lap. He would lean on me like I was a couch and look around. And he'd lean and he'd look around, and then he'd head out again after he had enough. I could feel the gasoline going into him. So gradual. Reparenting is gradual, it's patient. We're aware of our child's development, that it's slow, and so is ours. And we don't want to shame them for being who they are and innocent in learning, or make them feel bad about what they're learning. So the model includes reparenting. And you're reparenting yourself when you talk to yourself the way you have been. You're reparenting each other. You're gaining a sense of space, intellectual space, through for example, timeline, through the social atom. You're redoing the lost context that you lose in trauma, right? You're putting people where they were. You're putting yourself along a timeline. You're doing all of these things that work to repair what trauma undermines. which is context, which is shut down emotions, which is that sense of time blending, the loss of ability to distinguish between the past and the present. This model is slowly teasing out all of those kinds of things and replacing them. So I think if you just stay with this process, you will accomplish what you need to accomplish. And the floor checks being a very psychoeducational core of it. The floor checks are really, I took all the material that we teach in treatment centers, right? I admire the psychoeducational model. It used to be in therapy circles that the therapist was the purveyor and the holder of the knowledge. In the addictions field, we throw everything at everything. And we educate clients so we can all wrap our minds around our own disease. In my case, it's an ACA. In my case, it's ACA. Then addicts and trauma, CPTSD, all of these things. We're giving the educational material to the people who need it the most, just the way you would talk to your children and teach them. So, but it's easier to do on floor checks. You're not boring people. I mean, I get tired of the sound of my own voice if that's just what I'm hearing. I get tired of my stale jokes. I get tired, you know what I mean? People are bright, and they will use what they want to use if you can give it to them in a variety of forms. The brain loves novelty. This model helps create novelty. The brain and body love connection. We lose a sense of connection. Remember that sculpture we did? Children need to find ways to reconnect. If we're reparenting, we need to reconnect in safe, titrated ways. Little children make sense of their world through the developmental capacity they have at any given time. So they're making sense of very grown-up problems with a very childlike mind. And the meaning they're making is way too often, I'm the problem, I'm bad, I can't get anything right, I'm not lovable. And we need to find ways of bringing all that forward. And we have a month to do it. We sometimes have 90 days to do it. And then luckily we now have IOPs to do it. But we need a variety of approaches to keep it lively and to keep it embodied. So this model is both experiential and embodied, and it's psychoeducational. It is bottom up and top down, bottom up and top down, bottom up and top down. So you get to have it all, because we are bottom up and top down. We're built that way by the forces that built us. So I feel this model honors that. The big extension for me have been to develop floor checks and add them, because that's what treatment centers need, to honor Moreno's original triadic system of psychodrama, sociometry, group psychotherapy, to work off of these years, decades of worldwide experience. For psychodrama is worldwide. People know what works. But then to vary it and make it more modern and usable in our field, in the addictions field. Because psychodrama only, what was happening is that it would get too wild. It would be done with people who, it's hard to do a big psychodrama even if you're a well-trained psychodramatist. But if you don't have a lot of training, it's harder. And so as you saw with the social atom, I've broken it down so that you can work at your comfort level. Simply sculpting it and looking at it is powerful, right? Just writing it and sharing it is a process. You don't even have to sculpt it. Write it and share it. And in treatment, use all the different moments. Do a social atom of the group that landed you in treatment. Do a social atom of your using companions. What got you here? Do social atoms during treatment. Frozen moment, a family of origin, resilient moment, feeling great moment, anything, just a moment you want to explore. Do a social atom of your network that you're going to build when you leave treatment, your support network. Do a social atom of the life you'd like to have in 5 years. however you want to do it. Talk to your future self, talk to your past self. That's psychodrama lets you time travel. Sociometry is present oriented. Psychodrama, time travel, sociometry, present oriented. That's why in floor checks, we're not time traveling unless we're adding a little role play. That's the time traveling part. Children carry the meaning they made as a child throughout life until we understand what happened. And psychodrama helps to separate out these parts because keep in mind in trauma, not only is the brain not being able to make sense of experience, but the limbic system goes into high revved gear, right? At a moment that is terrifying, your thinking mind is shutting down, but your limbic system, their fight, flight, freeze, fawn, is revving up. So what that means, because the limbic system is responsible for processing emotion and processing sense data, in other words, sight, sounds, smells, all of that, your body is gathering and storing all of the sensorial data of the experience. Your thinking mind is not making sense of it. Your brain is not time-stamping it and putting it in order. So you end up with this jumble of sensory data, sensory imprints with no storyline. So later in life, when you get triggered unconsciously, right? When a smell triggers you, or a sound triggers you, or fighting triggers you, or a person in a uniform triggers you, or walking into a hospital, whatever it is, what comes up, and people don't know this, all that sensory data, right, comes up, but people think it's all about the trigger, what triggered it, and they do not understand their overreaction to current circumstances as historical. How many marriages does that kill? I mean, when your partner becomes your parent, and when you shout at them all that you never got to say to the parent, and you insist because they're there and they're triggering you that they're the cause of the pain you're in, therein lies the traffic jam, right? So we need to separate, we need to pull it out, put it into parts. Moreno talked about putting it into parts. Dick Schwartz talks about parts. It's so freeing to put it into parts. And then I remember Dick said that when the parts talk, they just talk like magpies. And they do. You just, and the same happens in psychodrama. When you access the parts, you find you have so much to say. You have so uncried tears, uncried love, uncried, connection, uncried alienation. So that when you do those things, you cry the tears, you cry the love, you talk to the parts, the integration is happening. You don't have to then go through a whole let's integrate it, because it's happening as you're doing that. So this method really allows for integration, and what I've done with RTR is just make it manageable for the work we do. When I did the feeling floor check at first, I really did it just to help this client. I really did it just because I was sick of feeling checks. And by 20 minutes into the group, I thought, oh my God. And I just kept asking questions. And I kept watching the brilliance of the group. And all I did was ask questions. And then when I ran out, I said, what questions do you want to ask? And they took it over. And something happened that day. I understood that something was born that was easy to do. And then I very slowly added it on because I needed to put context around events, so the timeline. And then added on the various parts of the timeline. This was all developed over 30 years. And I only wrote it down because people were starting to steal it for parts. And I thought, no, this is no good. I have to put it all down together and trademark it. Because otherwise it ended up in other people's models, and I wasn't telling them why we were doing what we were doing, and people took bits and pieces. But there's a whole progression to it. And by progression, I don't mean you have to do it in order, but it covers a lot of the pieces. And can you picture yourselves doing it all as therapists?
Yes.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, it's not, you get used to it, and it's not hard to do. And the other problem with too much psychodrama treatment centers, it became very catharsis-oriented, abreactive catharsis. Hate, get angry. I mean, I don't know if you're not old enough maybe to know the 2 decades we spent just, hitting batakas and blaming our parents. Which is not to say that's not a stage. And rage release, I think, is very important if it's needed. And blaming the people who helped you get the way you got is important. I mean, you need to assign blame, but then you need to move past that and be able to connect with all that was good. So the other thing, it became piece of work focused, right? People would come to treatment and I haven't done my piece of work. I did my piece of work too soon. When I did my piece of work, I remember. So that was another problem. That everybody in this room has been working all day, right? Don't you feel? I mean, look at your faces. You've been working all day. And some people work very hard just sitting in the room. Remember that part too. People will work when they're ready. And I was pulling people in, but people have different rates of development. What we want is a catharsis of integration. Abreaction is good to get rid of feelings. Ultimately, you want that catharsis of integration so that you are reintegrating things in a new way. And that was when you saw the social atom, the do, undo, redo. When the redo, so much feeling came up for you, right? And to be able to reconnect, to express the gratitude, to thank people, because ultimately what we want is reconnection. I think therapy misunderstood this for too long. With all of the boundaries and the disconnection. We need boundaries, but not boundaries that are walls, not boundaries that make disconnect. Boundaries are so that we can connect comfortably. So that we can connect and feel safe, that we have some authority over ourselves and we can say not now or later or love you but maybe I'm just too tired or whatever. But they're not meant to isolate you. They're meant to allow you to be in relationship with some sense of safety. Because I don't care what anybody says, we all need to connect. We all want to connect. We heal in community. We're born in community. We're raised in community. When we are what's the biggest thing in a prison you do? Solitary confinement. The most serious punishment, one of them. Because what about the Quakers shunning to punish? Isolation is physically painful. And parents who don't turn around and see you, you don't have to do it right as a parent. You just have to try, You just have to do your best and not push everything that you need away. You just need to put it where you want it to be and know, as you were saying, that you can't control everything. You can have your version of how you'd like it to go, and then I think that's why the 12 steps are so important, because they teach us to let go. They teach us to allow a higher power, whatever that higher power is. Nature, God, Buddha, it doesn't matter. It's a force that is beyond us. And who can look at this world and think there's not a force that is beyond us? So that is RTR. It's Relational Trauma Repair. It doesn't need to use the word trauma ever. You don't have to mention it. It's just designed to help people integrate, to explore the different parts, and then process them and reintegrate them in a new way. And you don't have to do it, like this, because it happens anyway.